The observation. The observation vessel, celestial surveyor of the Galactic Federation, hung silently in the void, its adaptive hull absorbing ambient radiation to maintain stealth. Commander Zixvale stood on the bridge, his four slender arms manipulating the holographic display as he studied the unremarkable yellow star system. Preliminary assessment complete, Commander, reported Science Officer Neri, her crystalline skin refracting the soft blue lighting of the bridge. Third planet shows signs of developing sapient life. Technological level consistent with early space age. Recommendation: standard observation protocol. Zixvale nodded, his elongated head tilting slightly. The Federation had discovered thousands of developing civilizations in their long history. Each would be monitored, cataloged, and, when ready, approached for potential membership. This system would be no different. Initiate deep scans, he ordered. I want composition analysis of their orbital structures. The surveyor's passive sensors extended their reach, gathering data without emitting detectable signals. Earth, as the natives called it, had a primitive network of satellites, a small orbital station, and rudimentary vessels using chemical propulsion. Fascinating biology, Neri remarked, studying the genetic data. These humans show remarkable adaptability. Their genetic structure allows for significant environmental tolerance. And their military capabilities? Asked Security Director Krav, the heavyset Viridian shifting his bulk as he approached the display. As a species that had evolved from apex predators, Viridians always focused on threat assessment. Primitive, Neri replied dismissively. Kinetic weapons, limited directed energy technology. Their most advanced vessels are confined to their oceans. Krav grunted, unconvinced. Something doesn't align with standard developmental patterns. Their orbital infrastructure is minimal, yet they've established outposts on their moon and neighboring planet. Their resources are disproportionately allocated to military applications rather than scientific advancement. Zixvale considered this observation. Perhaps their evolutionary path differs from our models. Many species facing resource scarcity develop militaristic tendencies before outgrowing them. A soft alert chimed at the sensor station. Commander, called the operator, detecting unusual energy signatures from Earth's orbit. Pattern doesn't match any of their known technology. Show me, Zixvale ordered, his interest piqued. The display shifted to show a thermal image of what appeared to be a construction facility in high orbit. Energy readings fluctuated in patterns that suggested gravitic manipulation, technology that should be centuries beyond human capability. Impossible, whispered Neri. They shouldn't have gravitic engineering at their development stage. Perhaps our assessment requires revision, Zixvale mused. Maintain observation distance and continue passive scans. Before further orders could be given, another alert sounded. Commander, we're being scanned, the sensor operator announced with alarm. Detection systems have been breached. Zixvale's inner eyelids flickered in surprise. Impossible. Our cloaking technology is undetectable to pre-interstellar civilizations. Nevertheless, Krav interjected, they found us. Incoming transmission. The bridge fell silent as a communication request appeared on the main display. The humans had not only detected their vessel, but had managed to establish a compatible communication protocol. Another capability they shouldn't possess. Accept the transmission, Zixvale ordered, straightening his posture. The holographic display flickered before resolving into the image of a human. Female, by their biological indicators, with dark skin and a formal uniform adorned with symbols of rank. This is Captain Maya Chen of the Earth Defense Force, she began, her voice translated by the ship's systems. Your vessel has entered restricted space. Identify yourselves and state your purpose. Zixvale exchanged glances with his officers before responding. I am Commander Zixvale of the Galactic Federation vessel Celestial Surveyor. We are on a peaceful observation mission. Captain Chen's expression remained neutral. You've been observing our system for 3 weeks without announcing your presence. That could be interpreted as hostile reconnaissance. How did you detect us? Neri blurted, unable to contain her scientific curiosity. A slight smile crossed the human's face. Perhaps your technology isn't as advanced as you believe, or perhaps ours isn't as primitive. We request a formal meeting. A diplomatic vessel will rendezvous with your position in 6 hours. We look forward to establishing proper relations. The transmission ended abruptly. Their detection capabilities are concerning, Crab growled. We should withdraw and reassess. No, Zixbel decided. The Federation's protocols are clear. Once contact is established, we proceed with diplomatic engagement. Prepare for their arrival. 6 hours later, the human vessel approached. It was smaller than the Surveyor, with a design that seemed needlessly angular and utilitarian. Yet, as it drew closer, the sensor readings revealed propulsion technology that defied explanation. They're using a form of controlled gravitational manipulation, Neri reported, her voice hushed with disbelief. The efficiency exceeds some of our smaller vessels. The human ship docked with practiced precision, and soon a delegation emerged through the airlock. Captain Chen led 3 others, a tall male with a physique suggesting military training, a smaller female with multiple data devices, and an older male whose insignia indicated higher rank. Commander Zixvale, Chen began after introductions were complete. Allow me to present Admiral James Reeves, Earth Defense Force Command. The Admiral stepped forward. We appreciate your willingness to meet. It's not often we find unknown vessels observing our planet. Not often, Krav repeated. You've encountered other extraterrestrial civilizations. A moment of silence passed before Reeves answered. Let's just say you're not the first to take interest in our system. Your approach was more peaceful than some. This revelation stunned the Federation officers. According to all records, humanity should be experiencing its first extraterrestrial contact. I believe, Zixvale said carefully, that we have much to discuss. Admiral, your technological capabilities appear to exceed our assessment of your development stage. Necessity drives innovation, Commander, Reeves replied with a thin smile. When you discover you're not alone in the universe, and not everyone has friendly intentions, you adapt quickly. The diplomatic meeting continued for hours. The humans were carefully selective with information, revealing enough to establish their capabilities without exposing their full technological extent. They explained their accelerated space program, their defensive posture, and their interest in peaceful relations with the Galactic Federation. We would like to extend an invitation, Admiral Reeves said as the meeting concluded. In 2 days, we're conducting a demonstration of our newest defense vessel. We believe it would benefit both our peoples if Federation representatives observed. Zixval considered the invitation. Federation protocols recommended caution, but his curiosity about these unusual humans overrode standard procedure. We accept your invitation, Admiral. After the humans departed, the Federation officers gathered to discuss their observations. They're hiding something, Krav insisted. Their technological advancement is too rapid, too focused on military applications. Perhaps, Neri countered, but their biology suggests adaptability as a core trait. Their short lifespans might drive accelerated innovation. Zixval studied the data from their scans of the human vessel. Whatever the explanation, these humans warrant closer observation. Prepare a preliminary report for Federation Council. Classification: exceptional development pattern. 2 days later, the surveyor followed coordinates provided by the humans, arriving near Earth's moon. What they observed there defied all expectations. A massive vessel hung in lunar orbit, at least 2 kilometers in length. Its design was unlike the utilitarian craft they'd seen before, with smooth, organic curves that suggested advanced manufacturing techniques. Most alarming were the energy readings. The ship's power core utilized principles of zero-point energy extraction, technology the Federation had only mastered 3 centuries ago. Impossible, Neri whispered, not for the first time. They can't have developed this independently. A transmission from the surface interrupted their astonishment. Admiral Reeves appeared on screen, now dressed in a more formal uniform. Commander Zixvale, Welcome to the demonstration of the EDF Prometheus, humanity's first deep space warship. Admiral Zixvale responded, struggling to maintain diplomatic composure. This vessel exceeds all developmental models for your civilization. How is this possible? Reeves smiled, but there was no warmth in it. As I said, Commander, necessity drives innovation. The demonstration will begin shortly. We recommend you maintain your current position. The transmission ended, leaving the Federation officers staring at the human warship with a mixture of awe and trepidation. Their weapons systems, Krav reported grimly, include gravitic disruptors and focused particle weaponry. Defensive capabilities appear to include multiphasic shielding. Before Zixvale could respond, another vessel appeared at the edge of the system, traveling at speeds that suggested advanced FTL capability. The newcomer's configuration was instantly recognizable. Krell Warship, Krav announced, his voice dropping to a growl. Dreadnought class. The Krell, a notoriously aggressive species that preyed on developing civilizations, had apparently also taken interest in humanity. The Federation had been trying to contain their expansion for centuries, with limited success. Alert the humans, Zixvale ordered urgently. The Krell Air. Commander, interrupted the communications officer, the humans are transmitting to the Krell vessel. On the main display, Admiral Reeves addressed the Krell commander with cold precision. Krell vessel, you have entered restricted space. Your previous attacks on our colonies have been deemed acts of war. This is your only warning. Withdraw immediately or be destroyed. The Krell commander's translated response came swiftly. Primitive species, your defiance amuses us. Prepare for extermination. Zixvale watched in horror as the Krell dreadnought powered its main weapons array, capable of reducing a small moon to rubble. Before he could order evasive maneuvers, the human warship Prometheus moved with impossible speed, positioning itself between the surveyor and the Krell vessel. What are they doing? Neri gasped. They can't possibly withstand a Krell dreadnought. As the Krell weapon discharged, Zixvale braced for the destruction of the human ship. Instead, the energy blast dissipated against a shield configuration he'd never seen before, spreading harmlessly across the surface before being absorbed completely. Then the Prometheus responded, not with conventional weapons, but with a focused gravitational distortion that enveloped the Krell ship, compressing space around it. The massive dreadnought's hull began to creak under forces it was never designed to withstand. Impossible, Krav whispered. That technology shouldn't exist outside theoretical models. Within moments, the Krell vessel's weapons and propulsion systems failed under the gravitational stress. A second transmission from Admiral Reeves addressed the crippled ship. Your options are surrender or destruction. You have 30 seconds to decide. For the first time in recorded history, a Krell commander surrendered. As the Federation officers watched in stunned silence, Zixvale realized with absolute clarity that humanity was unlike any species they had ever encountered, and that the galaxy would never be the same. The confrontation. The captured Krell dreadnought hung disabled in space, surrounded by smaller vessels that had emerged from the Prometheus. Commander Zixvale watched in astonishment as human boarding teams secured the alien ship with practiced efficiency. They're treating a Krell dreadnought like a routine operation, Krav observed, his voice heavy with disbelief. Even our most elite Federation security forces approach such vessels with extreme caution. A communication request from the Prometheus interrupted their observations. Admiral Reeves appeared on screen, his expression serious but composed. Commander Zixvale, I imagine you have questions, he stated simply. Several thousand, Admiral, Zixvale replied, struggling to process what he had witnessed. Your technology, your tactics against the Krell, none of this aligns with your civilization's development stage. Perhaps it's time for some honesty between our peoples, Reeves said. We've been monitoring your Federation for nearly 2 decades, just as you've been observing us. This revelation sent a wave of shock through the bridge crew. Federation stealth technology was considered undetectable. Impossible. Neri protested. Our observation protocols were compromised 15 years ago. Reeves finished for her. One of your scout ships crashed in our asteroid belt. The crew didn't survive, but the technology was educational. Zixvel felt a chill run through his body. The Federation had lost contact with a scout vessel in this sector years ago, but the incident had been classified as a navigational accident. We recovered your databases, Reeves continued, including information about the various species in our region of space. The Krell were of particular interest, given their habit of harvesting developing civilizations. So you reversed engineered our technology, Krav growled. Not exactly, Reeves corrected. Your technology provided insights, but our solutions are uniquely human. We'd already theorized most of the principles. You simply confirmed we were on the right track. Admiral, Zixvel said carefully, the gravitational manipulation you deployed against the Krell vessel exceeds even Federation capabilities. Such technology should be beyond any civilization at your development stage. Reeves allowed himself a small smile. Commander, you're applying your understanding of developmental patterns to humanity. That's your first mistake. We don't follow predictable paths. Before Zixvel could respond, an urgent alert sounded from the tactical station. Multiple Krell signatures detected, reported the sensor operator. 5 dreadnoughts and support vessels emerging from hyperspace near the outer system boundary. It appears the Krell don't take defeat well, Reeves observed, unsurprised. Commander, I recommend you withdraw to a safe distance. What follows isn't covered by your diplomatic protocols. Admiral, 5 Krell dreadnoughts represent a planetary extinction threat, Zixvel warned. Your single vessel, impressive as it is, cannot. Prometheus isn't alone, Commander, Reeves interrupted. The transmission widened to show a tactical display. Multiple signatures were emerging from behind Earth's moon and from what appeared to be concealed bases on Mars and several asteroids. 7 warships, each comparable to the Prometheus, moved into formation. Dozens of smaller vessels deployed alongside them in a coordinated ballet that spoke of extensive training and preparation. The Earth Defense Fleet, Reeves explained, a joint project of all human nations, built over the past decade since we became aware of the Krell threat. Neri's voice shook as she reported readings from the human fleet. Commander, their combined energy output exceeds anything in Federation records. They've somehow miniaturized zero-point extraction technology to unprecedented efficiency levels. The Krell fleet advanced into the system with typical aggression, their lead vessels already powering weapons arrays. A general transmission from their command ship filled the communications channels, a demand for immediate surrender from the primitive species that had dared to resist. Admiral Reeves' response was succinct. Not today. What followed was unlike any space battle the Federation observers had witnessed in their long history. The human vessels didn't engage in traditional exchange of fire. Instead, they executed a complex series of maneuvers that Zixvel recognized as a sophisticated tactical pattern, one that shouldn't be possible without quantum-linked command systems. They're creating a gravitic web, Neri observed with scientific fascination overriding her shock. Each vessel is generating a precisely calibrated gravitational field that intersects with the others. The Krell ships found themselves caught in overlapping gravitational distortions that disrupted their weapons' targeting and drive systems. When they attempted to compensate by increasing power, the human fleet adjusted their fields in perfect synchronization, creating gravitational shear points that stressed the Krell hulls beyond design tolerances. Their coordination is impossible, Krav muttered. Even with our most advanced neural links, no fleet commanders could adjust tactics with such precision. I believe, Zixvel said slowly, they're utilizing some form of artificial intelligence for tactical coordination. The response times exceed biological capabilities. The Krell, facing an enemy they couldn't effectively target, resorted to their standard tactic against superior forces. They launched boarding craft toward the nearest human vessel. Typical Krell, Krav snorted. When technology fails, they rely on biological superiority. The Krell were known throughout the galaxy as fearsome close-quarters combatants, their natural armor and strength making them nearly unstoppable in boarding actions. The human response was unexpected. Rather than attempting to destroy the incoming boarding craft, they allowed them to dock. Tactical feeds from the human vessels, deliberately shared with the Federation observers, showed the Krell boarding parties moving through the corridors. "They're allowing the Krell access to their ships?" Neri asked incredulously. The feeds continued, showing the Krell encountering not human defenders but autonomous combat drones. The machines moved with fluid precision, engaging the Krell with weapons that bypassed their natural armor, focused sonic pulses that disrupted their nervous systems. "Clever," Krav admitted grudgingly. "They've analyzed Krell biology and developed specific countermeasures." As the battle progressed, it became clear that the humans weren't simply defending. They were executing a carefully orchestrated strategy. The gravitational web contracted, forcing the Krell vessels into increasingly confined space. Meanwhile, smaller human craft deployed what appeared to be modified mining equipment, systematically disabling the Krell ship's propulsion systems. "They're capturing the fleet intact," Zexbel realized, "not destroying it." Within 2 hours, the unthinkable had occurred. The entire Krell assault force had been neutralized without the destruction of a single major vessel on either side. The Krell commander, faced with complete defeat, activated his ship's self-destruct sequence, only to find it had been remotely disabled by human infiltration systems. Admiral Reeves requested a meeting aboard the Prometheus. When the Federation delegation arrived, they found a different atmosphere than before. The human crew moved with quiet efficiency, but there was a noticeable tension beneath their professional demeanor. "The Krell won't stop with this defeat," Reeves explained as they gathered in a secure conference room. "They'll return with a larger force." This was merely their regional contingent. "Admiral," Zexvale said, "the Federation Council must be informed of these developments. The Krell represent a threat to all civilized species. The Federation has been aware of the Krell for centuries," Reeves countered, "yet your non-interference policies prevented you from taking action unless they directly threatened Federation worlds." Zixvel couldn't deny this truth. The Federation's primary directive prohibited intervention in conflicts between non-member species. "You've demonstrated remarkable capabilities," he acknowledged, "but the full might of the Krell Empire would overwhelm even your impressive fleet." Perhaps a new voice joined the conversation. A human female entered, her simple attire contrasting with the military uniforms around her. "Or perhaps we have advantages you haven't yet observed. Commander, this is Dr. Ileana Patel, director of the Prometheus project." Reeves introduced her. "The Krell have a numerical advantage," Dr. Patel acknowledged, "but numbers aren't everything. Their technology has remained relatively static for centuries, according to your own records. They rely on overwhelming force rather than innovation." She activated a holographic display showing the inner workings of the Prometheus. "Our vessels are designed with adaptive systems. Each encounter with an enemy improves our tactical responses. The data from today's engagement is already being analyzed to enhance our countermeasures." "Your artificial intelligence," Zixvale said. "It coordinates your fleet actions." Patel smiled. "Not exactly. We call it a distributed cognitive network, human minds linked with advanced computing systems. The humans remain in control, but their decision-making is enhanced beyond normal biological limitations." Krav leaned forward. "You've integrated your consciousness with machines. The potential dangers were carefully considered," Patel interrupted. "We had little choice. When we realized the Krell were systematically eliminating developing civilizations in this sector, we knew conventional development wouldn't be sufficient." "How did you discover this?" Neri asked. "The Krell are typically thorough in concealing their activities." Reeves and Patel exchanged glances. "We had help," Reeves admitted. "Not all species share the Federation's non-interference philosophy." This revelation struck Zixvale like a physical blow. Another spacefaring civilization has been assisting you. Which species? That's not important right now. Paddle deflected. What matters is that humanity is prepared to stand against the Krell, not just for ourselves, but for other developing civilizations in this sector. The Federation Council will need to reassess humanity's classification, Zixvale said after a moment of contemplation. Your technological development, while unorthodox, clearly places you among spacefaring civilizations. With all due respect, Commander, Reeves replied, we're not particularly concerned with your classification systems. We're focused on survival, ours and others threatened by the Krell. What are you proposing? Zixvale asked. Alliance, Paddle stated simply. Not membership in your federation. At least not yet. But a cooperative agreement against the Krell threat. You have diplomatic experience and established relationships with numerous species. We have technological innovations and tactical approaches the Krell haven't encountered. Zixvale considered the proposal. Federation protocols would typically require years of observation before considering such an arrangement with a newly discovered civilization. Yet these humans had demonstrated capabilities and determination that defied standard assessment. I will present your proposal to the Council, he decided. Your actions against the Krell demonstrate both capability and restraint, qualities the Federation values. As the meeting concluded, Zixvale requested a private word with Reeves and Paddle. Once they were alone, he asked the question that had been troubling him since witnessing the human fleet in action. Your technological development, he began carefully. It isn't merely accelerated. It's directed with remarkable precision toward specific military applications. Even with assistance from another spacefaring species, this focus is unusual. Patel's expression grew somber. 17 years ago, a Krell harvester ship attacked one of our early lunar outposts. Of the 200 scientists and their families stationed there, only one survivor returned to Earth. A 7-year-old girl found in a sealed emergency shelter. The child had witnessed the entire attack through the shelter's viewport. Reeves continued. Her testimony, and the data recorders we recovered, showed us exactly what we were facing. That child was you, Zixvale realized, looking at Patel. She nodded once. The Prometheus project began the day I returned to Earth. Every advancement, every innovation has been driven by a single purpose, ensuring that humanity would never be helpless against threats from the stars. The Federation believed isolation was the best protection for developing species, Zixvale said, understanding dawning. We were wrong. Not wrong, Paddle corrected gently, just working from incomplete assumptions. You believe development should follow a natural progression, with each civilization finding its own path to the stars. It's a noble philosophy. But sometimes, Reeves added, circumstances require adaptation. Humanity adapted. As Zixvale returned to the surveyor, he composed his report to the Federation Council. The standard classification template seemed woefully inadequate to describe what he had witnessed. Finally, he settled on direct language. Humanity represents an unprecedented anomaly in species development. Their technological advancement defies standard models. Their military capability exceeds all projections. Most significantly, their cultural mindset embraces challenges that most species would find overwhelming. They do not fear the unknown. They explore it. They do not avoid conflict. They prepare for it. They do not accept limitations. They overcome them. The Federation must reconsider its non-interference doctrine where humans are concerned. They will not be passive recipients of our wisdom or protection. They will be active participants in galactic affairs, whether we welcome them or not. My recommendation, formal alliance with immediate effect. Humanity may be our best defense against the Krell expansion. More importantly, they may be exactly what the Federation needs after millennia of complacency. The humans have a saying, necessity is the mother of invention. Perhaps it's time we learned from them. As the surveyor departed Earth orbit, Zixvale watched the blue planet recede. In the centuries to come, the galaxy would never be the same. The species that called that small world home would see to that. And perhaps, he thought, that was exactly what the galaxy needed.